Ghost of Yotei has finally arrived, and after many years of waiting, we can now experience what Sucker Punch has crafted as their follow-up to one of PlayStation's most beloved exclusive. Now that the game is in our hands, it's clear that this isn't just Ghost of Tsushima's fresh coat of paint. Sucker Punch has taken everything we loved about Jin Sakai's journey and evolved it into something that feels both familiar and completely revolutionary. Having spent time with the game this week, I can confirm that the 15 most significant changes we're about to discuss truly makes Ghost of Yotei feel like an entirely new adventure. From the moment you step into Atsu's boots as she embarks on her relentless quest for vengeance, you'll notice this isn't just a sequel, it's a complete reimagining of what the Ghost franchise can be. And trust me, some of the changes have completely blown my mind. But before we jump in, if you're enjoying Ghost of Yotei as much as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. We got tons of more coverage planned, including in-depth reviews and live streaming sessions with the game. You won't want to miss any of it. Now let's talk about what makes this game so special. The obvious change hitting you right from the start is our new protagonist, Atsu. This isn't just a one shift in character to another. Atsu represents a fundamental shift in how we experience the world itself. Set over 300 years after the Jin Sakai story, she's a wandering female warrior whose very existence challenges the social order of feudal Japan. While Jin was the nephew of Toshima's Jinto, a samurai bound by honor and tradition, Atsu exists on her fringes of society. She's an outcast, a woman who doesn't fit in with the rigid hierarchies of her time. This creates an entirely different dynamic with the world around her. Where Jin commanded respect through his lineage and status, Atsu has to earn every bit of trust and recognition that she gets. The developers have made it very clear that Atsu's journey isn't just about revenge, it's about survival in a world that doesn't want her to exist at all. She's branded as an Onryo by the people of Atsu, a vengeful spirit walking among the living. This reputation both helps and haunts her as she builds her legend across frozen wilderness. The psychological weight of being seen as something inhuman adds a layer to her character that we never experienced with Jin. What's particularly compelling is how it affects the storytelling. Jin's story was about falling from grace, abandoning his samurai code altogether to become something way more darker. Atsu's story is about rising from nothing, building power and influence where the entire world is stacked against her. It's a completely different narrative arc that promises to hit different emotional notes. Ghost of Tsushima's open world was beautiful, but it followed pretty traditional conventions. You see a quest mark on your map, you ride over to it, complete an activity, and then move on to the next. Ghost of Yotei is throwing that entire approach out the window in favor of something more organic and player-driven. The new exploration system centers around discovery through genuine curiosity rather than just waypoints. Instead of your map being cluttered with icons telling you where to go, you pull out your spyglass, scan the horizon for interesting landmarks, and then chart your own course towards whatever catches your eye. It's a system that rewards players who actually want to explore rather than just checking box off a list. But here's where things get really interesting. The world itself is designed to guide you naturally. Those gorgeous flower streams you see in the trailers, they're not just pretty, they're functional. Following them gives Atsu a speed boost and often leads to meaningful discoveries. The landscape itself becomes part of the navigation system, creating this beautiful symbiosis between form and function. The dynamic weather system plays into this as well. Different weather patterns affect not just the visuals, but how the gameplay itself. Snow might hide certain paths while revealing others. Rain could make some activities impossible while opening up other new opportunities. It's an environmental setting taken to the next level where the world itself feels alive and responsive to your presence. Perhaps most impressively, the world comes to you as much as you go to it. NPCs can find your camp, share information, essentially bringing you quests and stories directly to your doorstep. This eliminates that tedious back and forth that plagued many open world games and keep the momentum flowing naturally. One of the most innovative changes that is completely overhauled is how you track and pursue objectives. Gone is the traditional journal system, replaced by an elegant clue card mechanic that feels authentic to the time period while solving real gameplay problems. These aren't just glorified quest logs. Each card is beautifully illustrated and represents actual intelligence Atsu has gathered. When you interrogate an enemy or discover information in the world, it translates into these tangible cards that you can prioritize based on your playstyle. Want to focus on stealth and ninja tactics? Follow the Kasune cards. Prefer the samurai combat, the One cards are your pathway forward. This system does something brilliant by giving players agency over their experience. Instead of just game directing your every move, you're actively choosing which threats to pull based on what interests you the most. It's a small change that has massive implications for how the story unfolds and how you connect with how you feel with Atsui's journey. The visual design for these cards also serve as a narrative purpose. They reflect Atsu's methodical approach to hunting the Yotei 6, showing us the character who thinks strategically rather than just charging in blindly for a fight. It's an environmental storytelling through UI design, and it's genuinely clever, and I loved it. The relationship between Atsu and her wolf companion represents a massive departure from a solitary journey that was experienced with Jin. This isn't just a pet or a gameplay mechanic, it's a narrative element that reinforces Atsu's connection with the wild and untamed aspect of Etsu. The wolf is based on the extinct Etsu wolf, which was historically roamed the region and who was known for being larger and more formidable than the typical wolves. The developers have emphasized this is just a wild animal choosing to ally with Atsu, not a domesticated companion. This creates a relationship built on mutual respect rather than dominance. In combat, the wolf functions as more than just an extra damage. It can disrupt enemy formations, create openings for Atsu attacks, and even serve as a distraction when things get overwhelming. But the developers have been careful to maintain its independence. This isn't just a pet that follows orders, it's a partner that makes its own tactical decision. Beyond combat, the wolf serves as a living representation of Atsu's growing connection to the wilderness. As someone who exists outside of society's norms, her bond with this wild creatures reinforces her outside status while also highlighting her unique strength. It's a character development through companionship, and it adds an emotional dimension that was absent from Jin's more isolated journey. The skill tree is dedicated to the wolf companion suggests that this relationship will evolve throughout gameplay, potentially unlocking new collaborative abilities and deepening their bond. It's a dynamic that could fundamentally change how we think about progression in action games. The combat system has been completely reimagined around a more master and student relationship that feels more authentic to samurai tradition rather than anything that we saw in the original game. Instead of unlocking stances through combat experience, Atsu learns new weapons and techniques by finding masters throughout the world and training under them. This creates a much more personal connection to your abilities. Each weapon isn't just a tool for you to pick up, it's a discipline that you've studied under someone who's mastered it. The katana, the dual katanas, the Yara spear, the Kirishigama, or the Ochiri each require finding the right teacher, proving yourself worthy of their instruction. What makes this system so particularly compelling is how it ties into the exploration. These masters aren't just marked on your map waiting for you to find them, they exist as part of the world itself, and discovering them requires genuine exploration and sometimes completing their objectives. A master might only reveal themselves after you helped out their village or proving your worth in some other way. The weapon switching system that replaces the stand system creates a much more dynamic combat encounters. Instead of changing your fighting style with the same weapon, you're actually switching to an entirely different tool, each with unique movesets, reach, and technical applications. Fighting a heavy armored opponent, switch to your Ochiri for devastating heavy attacks. Facing multiple fast enemies, the Kirishigama chain gives you more crowd control options. This system also introduced the risk reward element for potentially losing your weapon during combat. Getting hit too hard and you might find yourself disarmed, forcing you to either retrieve your weapon or disarm an enemy to continue fighting. It adds a layer of technical depth that keeps every encounter feeling unpredictable. Perhaps one of the most uniquely Japanese innovation is how Atsui's shamisen functioned as both a meditative tool and a navigation system. While Jin played his flute to compose haiku and reflect on his journey, Atsu's shamisen serves as a much more interactive purpose. Different songs correspond to different types of exploration objectives. Play one melody and the game might guide you towards a combat challenge. Another song could lead you to a more peaceful moment and reflection or hidden treasures. It's a system that turns music into a functional part of gameplay while maintaining the series' emphasis on Japanese culture and tradition. This isn't just about convenience, it's about atmosphere. Taking a moment to play the shamisen forces you to slow down and consider your next move. It creates these natural pauses in action that lets you absorb the environment and think about what you want to do next. In a genre that's often prioritized consistent action, these moments of reflection feels revolutionary. The shamisen also serves as a way to connect with the NPCs and the world around you. Playing music at your camp can actually attract visitors, creating those organic discovery moments where new quests and information come to you rather than you seeking them out. The introduction of firearms represents more than just new weapons. It's a fundamental shift in how combat encounters work. Set during the Edo period, roughly 3 centuries after Ghost of Tsushima, the presence of the matchlock reflects the historical reality of Japan during this era. These aren't just overpowered weapons that trivialize melee combat. Instead, they're slow reloading situational tools that require careful timing and positioning. A well placed shot can eliminate a dangerous enemy instantly, but this lengthy reload time leaves you vulnerable if you miss or if a new enemy reappears. The integration of firearms with traditional weapons creates an entirely new combat considerations. Do you open with engagement with a ranged shot and then switch to melee? Save your ammunition for a particularly dangerous foes? Use the threat of your firearm to control enemy positioning? These decisions add layers to the combat that simply didn't exist in the original game. The sound design and controller feedback for firearms promise to make each shot feel weighty and significant. Given the historical period, these weapons are relatively new technology, making them both powerful and unreliable in ways that should create a way more interesting gameplay moments. The bounty system creates a living economy of violence that responds to your action throughout the gameplay. As Atsu builds her reputation as the Anryo, more dangerous enemy will actively seek her out, creating encounters that feel organic rather than just scripted. But this worked both ways. Atsu can also take bounties herself, hunting down dangerous individuals for reward. These aren't just simple assassination missions. Each target requires different approaches and tactics, potentially involving investigation, infiltration, or direct confrontation depending on the situation. The beauty of the system is how it integrates with the open world. Instead of just wandering around hoping to find interesting encounters, the bounty system ensures that the challenging fights are always available for players who want them. It creates a natural progressions where the more legendary you become, the more legendary your opponents become. This ties into the game's themes of reputation and legend building. Every bounty you complete adds to Atsu's growing myth, but it also paints a bigger target on her back. It's a risk reward system that extends beyond simple gameplay mechanics into the narrative structure itself. While Ghost of Tsushima followed a very traditional 3-act structure with clear progression gates, Ghost of Yotei embraces a more flexible approach of storytelling. The Yotei 6 can be pursued in different orders, allowing players to shape their own path through Atsu's revenge story. This isn't just completely non-linear. The developers have been careful to ensure each member of the Yotei 6 has a complete character arc and meaningful build-up and resolution, but the order in which you encounter them can change based on your exploration choices and personal interest. Want to focus on stealth-heavy encounters in the snow-covered regions? You can pursue members of the Yotei 6 first. Prefer castle sieges and direct confrontations? Those path emphasizes those approaches. This flexibility lets players craft an experience that matches their preferred playstyle while delivering a coherent narrative still. The early hours of the game specifically offer the most choice in how you can approach the Yotei 6, gradually funneling towards a more focused conclusion. It's a structure that provides freedom while you're learning the systems, while also still ensuring a satisfying climax that brings all threads together. Character customization has been significantly expanded beyond Ghost of Tsushima's offering. While the original game had solid cosmetic options, Ghost of Yotei provides a much deeper customization that affects both appearance and gameplay. The armor and weapon customization system now includes a more varied visual options, allowing you to create a version of Atsu that reflects your personal interpretation of how the character is. Want her to look like a traditional samurai despite her outcast status? The option is there for you. Perhaps a more ghostly, intimidating appearance? You can achieve that as well. But this isn't just cosmetic. Different armor pieces and weapon configurations can affect the gameplay in subtle ways, encouraging experimentation and personalization. This customization becomes part of the role-playing experience, letting you define not just how Atsu looks, but how she approaches the challenges. Paint schemes and visual flourishes return from the original game, but the more expanded options and more detailed application system. The goal is to let every player create a unique version of Atsu that feels personally meaningful while still maintaining the character's core identity. The expanded director modes represents a fascinating experiment in presenting the same content through different cosmetic lenses. While Ghost of Tsushima Kurosawa mode was beloved, Ghost of Yotei takes this concept much further. The original Kurosawa mode returns with its black and white presentation, film grain, and enhanced wind effects, but now is joined by two additional modes that radically change the game's presentation. The Miike mode, inspired by director Takashi Miike gritty action films, bringing the camera closer to the action and emphasize blood and mud, creating a more visceral experience. Perhaps most intriguingly is the Watanabe mode, played by homage to Samurai Champloo's director by adding a lo-fi hip-hop beat to the open world exploration. This is an unexpected choice that could completely transform the game's atmosphere, creating something that feels both period appropriate and surprisingly modern. These modes aren't just visual filters, they're complete mood transformation that could make multiple playthroughs feel like an entirely different experience. It's an ambitious approach that treats the game as a piece of interactive cinema that can be interpreted through different artistic visions. The weather system has evolved from the symbiotic rain and storms of Ghost of Tsushima into something that actively affects gameplay and exploration. The varied bios of Itsu experience different weather systems and patterns, creating a unique opportunity and challenges. Snow isn't just for visual effect, it can hide paths while revealing others, affects enemy visibility, and changing how certain abilities function. Rain might make some areas impossible while opening up new routes. These aren't just minor cosmetic changes, they're inaugural parts of how you navigate and interact with the world. The seasonal system, while not as dramatic as what we've seen in other games, still provides variation to the world and feels alive and changing. Different times might reveal different activities or make certain areas more or less accessible. This dynamic weather ties into the game's themes of adaptation and survival. Atsu isn't just fighting for human enemies, she's contending with harsh realities of frontier of life and challenging environment. The weather becomes another character in the story, one that can be both ally and adversary depending on the circumstances. The return of Legend Mode brings both beloved cooperative experience back with significant enhancements based on the player's feedback from the original. The supernatural elements that made the first Legend Mode so memorable are back but expanded and refined. Two-player missions provide a more intimate co-op experience, allowing for deeper narrative moments that couldn't work with larger groups. These missions are specially designed around the partnership dynamics that made the original so compelling. Four-player survivor mode returns with the new enemy types and environmental challenges that takes advantages of Ghost of Yotei's expanded mechanics. The supernatural threats you'll face are designed to test not just your combat skills, but your teamwork and tactical coordination. Perhaps most importantly, Legend Modes remains free DLC, ensuring that the entire community can participate regardless of budget constraints. This accessibility has been crucial to build the mode's more dedicated community, and maintaining it shows Sucker Punch's commitment to long-term player engagement. The flashback system has been completely reimagined to address one of the most common criticisms from the original game. Instead of the jarring cutscenes that interrupted present day action, Ghost of Yotei allows players to seamlessly transition between past and present at specific locations. This creates a much more immersive way to learn about Atsu's backstory and motivation. Standing in locations with significant events occurred, you can choose to experience those moments firsthand rather than having them forced upon you at predetermined times. This system allows for more player agency in how much Atsu pass they want to explore. Some players might dive into every available flashback, while others might just want to focus on a primarily present day story. Both approaches are valid and supported by the gameplay design. These transitions aren't just narrative devices, they can provide gameplay benefits. Learning about these events might reveal hidden paths, secret treasures, or technical information that provides useful and present day challenges. It's environmental storytelling that directly impacts gameplay in meaningful ways. The AI improvement go far beyond simple stat increases or new attack patterns. Enemies in Ghost of Yotei demonstrate genuine technical awareness that responds to your playstyle and reputation. As the word of the Ario spreads, enemies will adapt their tactics accordingly. Groups might spread out to avoid your area of effect attacks, or they might bring specific countermeasurements based on your preferred weapon or techniques. It's a dynamic difficulty that emerges from the narrative context rather than arbitrary scaling. Boss encounters with Yotei 6 each require unique approaches and strategies. These aren't just damage sponges with bigger health bars, they're skilled opponents with their own fighting styles, strengths, and weaknesses that must be learned and exploited. The improved AI also extends to your ally characters and your wolf companion. They demonstrate genuine tactical awareness, positioning themselves effectively, responding appropriately to changing battlefield conditions. This might make cooperative moments feel much more genuine partnerships rather than just simple escort missions. Being developed exclusively for the PS5 has allowed Sucker Punch to implement visual improvements that simply weren't possible on the previous generation. The lighting system has been completely overhauled, creating realistic and dramatically effective illumination throughout Atsu. Texture qualities and environmental detail have been seeing massive improvements, particularly in weather effects and particle systems. Snow falls much more realistically, water behaves more naturally, and the environmental destruction feels more impactful and visceral. The character animation system has been enhanced to support expanded weapon variety and combat option. Each weapon type has its own unique movement patterns and combat choreography, creating visual diversity that matches the tactical variety. Perhaps more importantly, loading times have been virtually eliminated, creating a seamless experience that never breaks immersion. Fast travel is nearly instantaneously, and transitioning between different areas of the world maintains the flow of exploration and discovery. Ghost of Yotei delivers on everything a sequel should be. It maintains the core elements that made the original special, fearlessly innovating in areas that needed improvement. From Atsui's compelling outsider perspective to the revolutionary exploration system, from diverse weapon mastery to dynamic weather effects, every change feels purposeful and meaningful. The game has exceeded expectation by delivering not just what we love from Ghost of Tsushima, but genuinely evolved experience that pushes boundaries from open world design and narrative integration. Whether you're drawn to the strategic depth of the new combat system, or the organic discovery mechanics, or the simple opportunity to explore gorgeous realized feudal Japan, Ghost of Yotei delivers something truly special. What has impressed you most about these changes in your time with the game? So, what has impressed you most about the changes in the game? How are you finding Atsu's journey compared to Jin's? Let me know in the comments below for more detailed reviews and live stream sessions. If you want me to explore more of Ghost of Yotei live, make sure to follow me on Twitch, where I'll be deep diving into everything that the game has to offer. But until next time, keep your blades sharp and keep your spirits broken. Stay alpha.